It is Wednesday. I have a whiteboard and I'm going to use it. And we've been focusing on communication, some of the challenges around communication. And it's just a quick reminder, when we talk about call planning, we want to know who is going to be in the room. We want to know what their objectives are, anticipate. That's kind of a guess. We want to know what our objectives are. What are we actually trying to accomplish? And we want to know what our desired next steps are. And ideally, we have 3 desired next steps. If you do that before you go into any meeting, any conversation that you have with someone, you are going to be so much further ahead of the group. Don't be normal. Who, their objectives, our objectives, desired next steps. How do we use this stuff? Through the magic of editing, I've got a couple of processes behind me. So the first one, this is that buyer decision-making process, that buyer journey. We talk about it in the context of game of life. Down here below, we've got our sales process, the thing we use for forecasting. We talk about this in the context of chutes and ladders. Ideally, as you move through each of those stages, you're increasing probability of sale. Let's get back to the core focus though. How do we connect the dots between these two things? This is the customer side. Got the customer up here. This is our side. Got the business here. From a sales rep approach perspective, how do we engage in this area and bring things together? So I'm going to put an A in here. Well, first thing we might have is an initial discovery call. Who's going to be in the room? Customer, what's their objective? Make it through it, maybe learn a little bit about you. Your objective is to learn a bit about them. Desired next steps is that we move into something like maybe a capability call. Notice that each of these are still squares. They're call plans. We might have a capability call. Then we might have a pre-trial kickoff. We might have a post-trial review. We might have a contract negotiation. We might have a number of different ones. Now, your calls that you're going to layer in between here to pull those two processes together are going to be different depending on the type of business you operate in. If it's some kind of SaaS type business where a demo is required or a pre-trial is required, then you might have some of these extra phases. Now, depending on the type of customer, you may actually have, and this is where things start to get really complex, you may have multiple parallel calls happening. Think about some of your larger enterprise agreements that are happening in the space where you're having the same types of calls across different groups inside an organization because of geographic reasons or because of specific segment of their market. The point here is we use our call plans to help enable the customer to move through their decision-making process, and we use the call plans to gather information to determine, are we in the right stage? These call plans, this design that you do here is the thing that bridges the gap between sales process from a customer decision-making standpoint versus sales process from a forecast perspective. When you identify, you engage, you establish objectives, you clarify next steps, and you call people to action, applying that approach, repeating it over and over again, you will help make more progress in each of your deals. It's the small incremental next steps that you lay out that are executed on that get you from A to Z faster by going through B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and I won't go through the entire alphabet. If you know somebody who might find value in this, please share it with them. If you've got questions around it, give me a call. Sales is a thinking process. Business is a thinking process. Life is a thinking process. How are you thinking different about your process? This might be the way.